use the microphone.
I can use my thumb.
Let's share this one. Yes. Check, 1, 2, check.
I'm lying up.
All right, how's everybody doing? Are you still with me today?
Yeah.
Oh, come on, look, I've got 5, I think I may have 6 amazing, talented folks coming up here, so come on. Are you with me today? My name is Joe Stuber, writer from Comic Book Central, for those of you who weren't in here earlier. Comic Book Central is where comic books come to life. This table is where comics come to life today. Folks, what you are looking at here is over half a century of animated voiceover talent, experience. It is, and even more, Greg Cipes is on his way in too. Keep that enthusiasm going. He's got a long walk all the way over here, so he's right with come on in. You learned there's steps right around the side there. You can come right up the steps.
How do you know stinking steps?
There you go.
Is that my seat?
Yeah, that's yours,
man. What's up?
Greg gets to sit where all the questions are, so Greg, you have to moderate the whole thing now, so you just get to take over. So
I didn't know we were bringing dogs.
Give me that mic.
You got it. All right, so let's introduce these folks. We actually have another. Your voice is right. You don't need a microphone, right? We've got, and hold your applause to the end. We've got Greg Cipes. We've got Rafael Ferrer. We've got Kenney. I'm sorry, Larry Kenney. Larry Kenney. We've got Khary Payton. We have got the legendary Paul Souls, the man who first brought Spirodon to life, and Schlatter on the end. Folks, give it up for over half a century working so. We've had some additions to the panel. This is basically going to be a free-for-all, so I'm going to let you folks just take over here. And these folks, just all the voices, the history of voice overacting that they got here. I do have a question. I've seen a lot. What's overacting? No. I have asked a lot of voiceover actors because they say, well, one of the best things I do when I'm acting in voiceover is you can dress however you want. You can wear your pajamas if you want. Have any of you actually recorded voiceover in your pajamas?
Yes, Greg has. Greg absolutely has.
In my pajamas with my dog.
Why does that not surprise me?
By the way, this is Wingman. Everybody say hi to Wingman.
What's up, Wingman? Very good. So, okay, I'm going to let you guys take over. If you guys have questions here, we had the audience mic in the last one, but we're sharing mics today. So use your outside voice for this. If you have questions you want to ask any of the gentlemen here on the panel today, I'm just going to let them take over.
Where are those gentlemen?
And if you can even tell us too, like maybe we'll just go down, we'll get things started. Charlie, if you want to start on your end and work our way down, just how you guys got your start into voiceover acting and some of maybe the inspirations you had.
Okay. Hi, my name is Charlie Schlatter. I've been doing voice acting for, I don't know how long, maybe about 15 years. So I'm getting close to veteran status.
He's lying. He's been doing it for longer than 15 years.
I'm only 20. And so, but I did it because I've done a lot of on-camera stuff, and then, during one of the shows I was on a show called Diagnosis Murder that ran for like 100 years. And then I had children being born, and all the stuff that I was being offered was stuff that was like out of town. It was in Vancouver or Toronto, wherever. And I just wanted to be home and be with my family. And so a manager at the time said, how would you feel about doing like voiceover stuff? And I said, okay, I didn't even know that this world existed. And sure enough, I auditioned for some stuff and started getting stuff. And I did a cartoon with Jess Harnell and Rob Paulson. It was called The Butt Ugly Martians, which none of you saw. And Robert Stack was in it. You've worked with Robert Stack, I'm sure, right? Maybe? No? Anyway, so, and that's how I got involved in it. And then that just sort of overtook even the on-camera stuff. And because it's fun. It's a great, great life. And you work with some of the bravest people ever. They're just actors who are willing to take chances and do crazy things and be heroes and be villains. And it's just a great, great place to play, especially when you're 52 years old. You still get to be a child at any age. It's just, it just keeps you alive and keeps you going. It's really, really fun. So that's how I got started.
We got to keep these folks hydrated. It's always about water with voiceover.
It's about water.
So you got to keep them hydrated.
Well, sometimes we want.
And Mr. Souls, how did you get into, because we're going back a little bit.
Paul, please. You say Mr. Souls.
It
I'm
did.
looking out here for my father. That's right. I got lucky by being born in Canada. And many of you may know that it's 6.5 time zones long, wide. 6,000 miles wide, 11 million people 5 years ago or 10 years ago. No, a little more. Point is, we have an outfit called the CBC, the Canadian Broadcasting Corporation. It was our national theater. We had few people, lots of real estate, so not many theaters. CBC in radio maintained lots of programs doing theater, drama, opera, everything. That was our national theater. So we all grew up, not so much seeing the inside of theaters or being on stage, but listening to the radio. An American, who was the first premier of the province of Newfoundland, our newest province, said that God invented radio for politics in Newfoundland, which is an island. The only way you could get around to it was by radio. So that was our beginning, and if you kind of learned to get along in radio, you had a bit of a living. So I got lucky and was born there.
Thanks.
All right, guys. Well, I was screwed because I was from Georgia, but I started doing theater. I went to school for theater when I was 18. I decided. I dabbled in acting stuff when I was growing up, but I thought I'd audition for schools for theater, and if I got into those schools and was able to get a scholarship, then maybe I'd be good enough to do this for a living. And so I got into the schools and started doing a lot of Shakespeare and experimental weird theater, pretending that things were there that weren't, because we couldn't afford to buy a broom, so you just pretended that you had a broom. And it turned out that was great training for this theater. This theater of voice business. Is where you got to kind of pretend that everything's there. I also actually watched a lot of cartoons and sitcoms and TV shows growing up. So so kids and your parents tell you, this is not doing you any good. They might be right, but for me they were lying, because it was a lot of really good training. Growing up, listening literally, my favorite superhero growing up was Spider-Man. And the reason being is because most superheroes, when they drew them, they were huge, hulking, massive, dudes breaking through walls. Spider-Man was this skinny little kid. He wasn't even a man. He was a kid. He was a kid just like all of us, and he was and when he got his powers, he remained a skinny little kid who was actually pretty shy until he put that mask on. And all of a sudden, he came to life, right? He starts quickly, and he was fun. And all of a sudden, and that's the way that I felt. I was kind of a quiet kid when I sat out in the audience. But man, you put me on a stage, it's like 3 feet high, all of a sudden, I won't shut up. And I have this man to thank, along with Stanley, for making that character someone that I can relate to. Because as a black kid growing up, I got into a few fights with people telling me I couldn't be Superman because I wasn't white, but you couldn't tell me I couldn't be Spider-Man. Because I was like, it's the first Schrodinger cat. I was like, you don't know who I'm Spider-man. I was with you.
Do you mind if I just throw something in your bag?
Throw something in his ball.
Apropos what this gentleman has said. When I was happily told I'm going to play the part of Peter and Spidey, I thought, wait a minute, I'm 4'3" and weigh 78 pounds, and I'm no superhero. The idea of muscles and flying and strength and all of that, it's not me. And he said, you'll grow into it. What he did was what people like Clint Eastwood do. When you're casting, they know they got the right person. And they said, you just imagine what it would be like. I'm not casting you because you're all these powerful people or spirits. It's because you don't know what it's like to be that. You'll grow into that or make that up. So it was important, right, to be not. I wouldn't know how to be a superhero. I would admire them the way you. We only had a couple Captain Marvel,
Superman.
and Superman, who was partly a Canadian.
Here he goes again.
Joe Schuster, two founder, won't take any false stand.
And Larry, and your introduction?
Yes, my name is Larry Kenney, and I got started in the business 55 years ago when I was 16. I was 15, and I started in radio as a disc jockey. And I had, from the time, well, my mother says from the time I could talk, I was imitating cartoon characters on television. This guy over here was one of them. And people like him and Paul Frees, and Mel Blanc, Dawes Butler, all their contemporaries. Those are my heroes. Not the heroes they played. They were my heroes. And I started in the radio, but I incorporated, as a disc jockey, I incorporated cartoon voices and character voices into my show. And then that led to when I began doing commercials in Chicago and in New York. That led to me becoming the voice of Count Chocula for 40 years, and Sally the Cocoa Puffs bird. I've been on that guy. I'm here for Cocoa Puffs. For almost 40 years too. So that's how I got my start, and here I am today with these guys. I'm happy to be here.
And Rafael? We're going to share mics today.
I'm sharing a mic with Count Chocula. My name is Rafael Ferrer. I'm an Aquarius. I got my start, Aquarius. I got my start in voiceovers because my father was an actor, my mother was a singer, my brother was an actor, my cousin was an actor, my sister-in-law was a singer, and none of them did voiceovers. So I was able to grab that niche in my family. So that's how I started doing voiceovers, starting as an actor. So I came from that sort of lineage, I guess.
You had no other choice. You weren't going to be a doctor or a lawyer, right?
You know, I couldn't do a day job. It was weird. I had to do this.
Would any of those people be anybody we know?
Yes, my father was an actor. He did a character called Cyrano de Bergerac. His name was Jose Ferrer. My mother was a singer. She did a movie called White Christmas. Her name was Rosemary Clooney. My brother was Miguel Ferrer, who did Jesus. What didn't he?
What didn't he do? Yeah.
He didn't do voiceovers until he realized it was lucrative, and then he went, "Wait a second, let me get in on that." He did RoboCop. He did Twin Peaks. He did wonderful, wonderful work.
He was like the voice of NBC for a while, or something like that. What was he? Big networks?
No, that was me.
That's you!
Yeah.
You make money. Alright.
Amazing.
Anyway, my cousin is Batman. I say that
Val Kilmer?
because the Batman no one liked.
Val Kilmer?
No, not even. George Clooney. That Batman. Where else did we know him from?
One of my favorite Batmans, by the way. I love it. Look, the movie's not Clooney's fault. I love.
No, he didn't know.
It was really good.
No,
George Clooney.
it was the suit. That was the problem.
Yes.
It was the suit.
But as far as an actor that could pull it off, it was, I mean, obviously Michael Keaton for me,
Sure.
that's Batman for me forever. But then, as far as the other like wannabe ones, I think Clooney is the second best.
I don't know. I like Adam West.
Those are
Adam
two
West
correct
is great.
answers, Greg.
Yeah,
Those are two
yeah.
correct answers, yes.
I like Adam West. Anyway.
And then, Greg, your introduction into voiceover?
My introduction into voiceover, I started off as a prank caller. I really did. I drove around America, in my dad's camper with my 9 brothers and sisters, and he would let me get on the CB radio at the age of 3 or 4, and I'd mess with truck drivers. And my dad goes, one day you're gonna do cartoons. And then I moved to California, and my first voiceover audition ever was for our show, Teen Titans.
Both of us, our first voiceover audition and our first voiceover job. And I remember Greg leaned over to me, he was like, dude, I've never done this before, it's my first time. And I was like, me too! What are we gonna do, man? We don't know what we're doing! That was 17 years ago.
Yeah, it's been quite a ride and such a blessing. And I love my brother Khary right here. We get to have so much fun on Teen Titans and Teen Titans Go. And the voice Beast Boy, I never even did the voice before that audition. I looked at a picture of Beast Boy and they gave a character description, and out came this voice. I don't even know where it came from, yo. But really, thank you. It really started with prank calling though. I went from CB prank calling to back in the day where there wasn't caller ID. I would sit in my room with my friends and prank call people. I listened to a lot of Jerky Boys. The Jerky Boys inspired me a lot. And then there was a radio guy, Phil Henry. I would listen to Phil Henry all the time in Florida. I'm like, that guy is rad. He has so much fun. Yeah, so that's
So
what my
the
story.
lesson is then, if your parents tell you to quit screwing around, you're never going to be able to turn this into anything, you can make a lucrative career out of doing just that. I think that's the takeaway from
No, the takeaway is Greg can make a lucrative career. Now let's just take a look at my boy Greg, okay? Everybody can be Greg, okay? And we all know that's true. I don't want anybody going to thinking that, anybody can do this. My man is 1 in a million, okay?
But I have to give credit where credit's due, and I feel like you have to give yourself credit to give yourself everything you've ever wanted. You'll have it, you'll receive it in a way you never could have imagined, better than you could have imagined every time. All you gotta do is know what you want. And that's never been an issue for me. I always know what I know what I want, and I'm infinitely inspired. So just do it. Whatever, if it's voice acting or being a doctor or a teacher or whatever, yoga instructor, whatever it is, just do what you love all the time. And if that changes, also don't be scared to change it up. But do it all.
I've always said that I was a class clown, like we probably always were, right, in film school. And I, do the voices. And I've always said, if I had a nickel, well, I do, but every teacher, school principal, law enforcement official, whoever said to me, Larry, I hope when you grow up, you can find a way to make a living with these little voices and jokes and I did.
Yeah, exactly.
Do you folks have any questions right now? You're gonna stand up and use your outside voice. We got one right over here up front.
After Spider-Man, what other voices did you do? I didn't quite hear.
Post Spider-Man, what were some of your post Spider-Man? But I think right pre-Spider-Man is the one he might be referring to right here. Yeah. Something a little classic, a little holiday classic maybe.
Pre by about 3 weeks.
Yeah.
Not much. Well, actually, as I recall, whatever that is worth, Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer and Spider-Man were recorded in the mid-'60s, within weeks or months of each other, by roughly the same little rep company that the CBC helped put together. And it was because 2 directors from NBC got a hold of the Rudolph property, wanted to make an animated or animation, animation, or what do you call it? Stop motion animation feature. And they got the 5 cheapest places on earth to do music, voice, the animation, music, etc. Well, the radio actors worked with, because we didn't have a powerful union, and so we worked for $1.95 a century. Almost no residuals. And as a result, so I'll put an end to this boring story, is that the word got around, there was this pool of good radio actors in Toronto, and we worked for nothing, or almost. And then the floodgates sort of opened. Not advertising anything because I make no money out of it or whatever. My dear son and I set up a website called wallopandwebsnappers.com.
Fantastic.
And on it is the story of how so much of this voiceover and radio acting came to Toronto, and as much because of the endorsement of a guy some of you might have heard of called Orson Welles. And he said perhaps the best English-speaking radio actor in the world was in Toronto. His name was John Draney. I worked with him happily several times. Phenomenon. But it's through all of that that our industry in Toronto came to be. And thank you for remembering.
And on that website too, I mean, like you said, it tells the entire story. That I think there's sound clips.
There are.
On the website.
That's
so
right.
If you are a totally stoked 66 Spider-Man fan, and I think everybody in here is, like you programmed my afternoons for me when I was a kid, go to that website. It is amazing. You get the entire history. And if you listen to Comic Book Central on episode 90, you'll hear my in-depth interview with Paul Soule. So you get that backstory too. Cheap plug right there, too.
Wallopin.
Thanks for the question.
Amazing.
Wallopin, I'm sorry.
Wallopin Web Snappers. Yeah.
Wallopandwebsnappers.com.
And Comic Book Central, you get to hear Paul and myself talk for about an hour, so it was it's some pretty cool stuff. So more of Paul than of me. So we have another question here. Anybody have a question right over to the right? Yep, and you choose your outside voice.
Sure. I'd like to know, what is your favorite voiceover?
Who?
Favorite voiceover of theirs, or
Yes.
favorite voiceover that inspired them?
Theirs.
What of your characters? We'll start with Charlie. Work. Let's actually start with Greg. We'll work our way back down this way. I think I'm going to guess I know what the answer is on this one.
I mean, every character I've ever played is a part of who I am, so it's hard to pick. It's like, do you like your left hand or your right hand more? Playing Michelangelo on the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles was a huge blessing since it was my favorite show as a kid. But, you know, my first character, Beast Boy, definitely is probably my favorite, only because humor is at the heart and at the core of who Beast Boy is, and for me, I like to laugh as much as possible, so yeah, playing Beast Boy, baby!
And just the opposite with Iron Fist and Danny Rand, right?
Yeah, but again, it's hard to say. Yeah, I love playing Iron Fist. He's a Zen master, and Kevin Levin on Ben 10 is more of a serious, dark humor kind of guy. But yeah, but really, Green and Beast Boy are my favorite.
And Rafa, your favorite of yours?
I would have to say the Sith Lord, Darth Malak, because he's evil and he's Star Wars, and I am such a Star Wars fan. I mean, Carrie Fisher and, you know, Mark Hamill. Mark Hamill is such a comic book head. I don't know if you guys know that, but he went to one of the first Comic-Cons with my brother Miguel, and my brother Miguel had a Golden Age comic book collection like nobody else, and he wrote a comic book and for Marvel. And anyway, Star Wars for me was just unbelievable. In the summer of 1976, I was lucky enough to be in London when they were filming, and to hang out and be there while they were filming the first one was just unbelievable, and nobody knew what it was going to be. But what it turned into and what it is now, I mean, it's just, I love Star Wars, so it would have to be Darth Malak.
And by the way, you talk about his comic book background too, Miguel.
Yeah.
So amazing. There's a picture, I don't know if you've seen it, of it's Miguel, Bill Mumy,
Yep.
Mark Hamill,
Yep.
and is it Jerry? Was it Jerry Siegel or Joe Shuster? I'm trying to remember who was in the shot.
Not sure.
Bob Kane.
Yep.
I mean, it's just amazing. And so I actually got a chance to talk to Mark about. Talk about an hour and a half. Mark goes on about comic books. He's on the show too.
Yeah.
We talk about the story behind that picture. It's dinner with the legends of comic books. So
Well, I
he was
mean,
right there. So he loved.
yeah, no, my brother, I mean, had a Golden Age comic book collection, unbelievable, as I said, but he and Bill Mumy wrote Comic Man together, and I was actually Mitch, the man who runs
Mitch Howard, yep.
Terrificon, gave me a present of the entire collection of Comic Man, because I never had it, and he gave it to me just this morning with my brother's comics.
Nice.
So I was very, very happy with that.
Can we
So
just
that's-
hear Darth Malak just a second?
What's that?
Can we hear Darth Malak?
Can you? Is he here?
I'll do it.
You guys do each other choices.
No, you do it. I'll
We'll
do
do an
line up.
experiment.
I'll do line up.
You want to do that?
You do.
Okay, give me a line.
From Darth Malak?
Yeah.
All right.
exactly.
Master, I will destroy the universe.
Looks like you do this for a living.
Sword of Odin, come to my hand. I, Lionel, command it.
Oh, you're gonna have to do Beast Boy at some point.
I do a horrible Beast Boy.
Yeah, let's hear it. I'll do it.
You can do a bit better Cyborg.
No, I cannot. It's but when I always, because Cyborg's so funny, so I love it when I get to scratch his lines sometimes. It's better to have Khary there, but
Scott does a
he does a better
good
scratch.
Beast Boy.
He does a better Cyborg.
Yeah,
than
he
me,
does.
too.
He's-
Let's hear your Beast Boy.
You know what? I don't even do a Beast Boy. I just I do Greg because it's love.
Come on, baby.
Yeah. But I can't pick my favorite voice because No, please.
Enough about your favorites.
I just thought we were going over.
Yeah,
I don't want to confuse them.
It's a free-for-all.
What was the question? Favorite boys, well, like you guys said, it's, one, we love them all. Lionel, I guess, is one of my favorites because it's the most iconic, I think, of all of them. But I think, like any actor, I see if you guys agree, playing the villains is more fun. You get to bite to the scene where you get to go.
Oh, yeah.
So everybody likes it. And in ThunderCats, I played Lionel, of course, but I also played one of the mutants, Jackal Man. And it was, so much fun. I remember when I auditioned for the synopsis that was given, it was, it's a jackal, hello. And I think of jackals as being wily, or that's what we think of them, and crafty and sneaky and mean. And then I remembered one of my favorite commercials, cartoons when I was a kid, Rocky and Bullwinkle. And there was a character called Snidely Whiplash. Anybody remember that?
Yes.
Hello now, right? I'm going to tie you to the railroad track. So I kind of combined those together and came up with, let's get the ThunderCats, yes? So I just like doing bad things.
Yeah,
it was Dudley Do-Right, right?
It's
Dudley
yeah.
Do-Right.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, all right. Yeah, come in, you'd love to.
Those are fun, man. I think my most fun is are some of those little characters that you get to do on the side, that they kind of throw at you that you weren't expecting to do. I got in Teen Titans Go that Greg and I do. I play the voice of the spirit of the couch. It's supposed to keep everybody to relax.
Oh man, he's so cozy, bro.
Oh baby, I'm just trying to get everybody to calm down.
Let me just relax a bit more.
Exactly. Everybody just seep into my cushions. You know what I'm saying? You can find some popcorn and perhaps some old bubble gum down in there.
This is nice, couch.
Oh yeah. Oh look at that. We just found the remote control.
Oh snap, is that a Cheeto?
It is, baby. Go ahead and have that Cheeto.
Is it vegan?
It's warm. Yeah. So and that's the fun of when they kind of throw those at you. I got to play Rafiki in the Disney version. I mean in the TV version of The Lion King, The Lion Guard. And so that's the one time I had to call my mom. And because I could not believe it's literally you get to grow up and become your childhood, and so it's the only way sometimes I can get my kids to do anything because they won't listen to me, but they will listen to Rafiki. You need to leave your it's funny that you don't even know that you have these voices inside. And then like you say, all of that playing around and playing with voices when you're a kid, and it ends up paying off in a crazy way.
Paul, we all love Spider-Man, but I'm guessing maybe the one you had a little fun with was probably Hermie. Is that one of your favorites?
One of them, yes. Because I hate dentists. I could have killed mine. ever since I was 13, I had an appointment on Tuesdays at 4 o'clock. Hated every one of them. Every one of them.
Do you do that for your dentist when you go to get your teeth?
He's no longer.
He's no longer. Did you have anything to do with that?
Never know.
You know, back then we could hear the anger in your voice. You know,
You got
It all
dark,
comes
man.
from somewhere.
absolutely.
All in history.
Isn't it amazing how everybody's childhood just comes flooding back into
Oh,
second?
yeah,
It's
yeah.
unbelievable. Charlie, I mean,
Well,
so
also,
many characters.
you know, because there was back then there weren't as many cartoons either. So, you know, that meant a lot to us. Spider-Man meant so much. Fred Flintstone meant so much. Now, not that there's too many, but there's so much out there. How do you even know? And that's why a lot of them do spill into other characters and this and that.
I steal everything from
Oh.
you know. I mean, literally,
We borrow, we borrow. We don't steal. We just
Oh, dude, I literally, Bootsy Collins was that was the voice of the couch. I was listening to a Bootsy Collins song the night before.
Is that what that was?
Exactly, and he was like, I'd rather be with you, good. And I was like, oh my God, that's a great voice. I'm gonna steal that thing right now.
I want Khary to do the voice for all my furniture in my house. I want him to do my bed, so when my wife lays it, hey, Colleen, how you doing? Charlie, welcome back. I want all that, Khary. I'll pay you handsomely. I really will.
And Charlie, your favorite?
Yeah.
You know, it's like Greg said. Everything that we do put a lot of ourselves into it, and it is you. But it's also borrowing from people you love and respect. It's almost easier to think of the ones that you don't like, the ones that like make you kind of bleed a little bit in the throat. But also like one character, I love doing the Kit Patowski character. To me, that was always fun. That was always a good thing to do because I'm more of one of like just sort of an actor who has a rubbery voice. Like a lot of these gentlemen are crazy, crazy talented. They're like these jukeboxes of just voices and this plethora of, nonsense that just comes out, and I'm working to get there, I really am. Right now, like my best stuff is impersonating my dad, Freddie Schlatter, and so there's like a little dentist on the Loud House that I do is very much like, oh Charles, listen, it's your father, like that's all I got in my bag. I'm trying to get the bag bigger. But it is true, like you said, these are all things that we dig out, and like you said, sometimes it surprises you. You go, where did that just come from?
Right?
Or it's somebody we wish we were.
Or exactly. Yeah, and that's the other thing too, and not that this isn't a panel full of like gorgeous, handsome men, but it is true, and as what we are, we get to play all these ragtag players, we get to play big villains, big heroes, big anything.
Yeah.
And like you, I'm a 4'2", 80-pound white guy from wherever, and you get to play all these awesome things, and it's a great outlet.
Probably, go ahead, Paul.
Sorry, I didn't quite answer the question. But took the line from you as to what my favorite might have been. Not to wish it all on you, but I go into absolute throes of paralysis at the three people who were my favorites. Probably because I could do them a little bit, but never as well as they. So anything you do is homage, if you like. And those were the three actors on a radio program I hope some of you may be old enough to remember or have heard of, The Goon Show in Britain, in New England. Peter Sellers, Spike Milligan, and Harry Seacombe. Between the three of them, they could do all the voices, much like the two men who do the Muppets, Frank Oz and Jim Henson, could do all of the voices. These guys were interchangeable too.
Except McFarlane, he's one of those guys.
Okay. But my favorite of all those was Sellers. And for all of his talent, and it was incredible, he had a lust for Sophia Loren. It was never consummated. But so he's the greatest voiceman I ever heard of. And good luck. What did it pay? Nothing. In terms of what he really wanted.
This questioning just went in a direction I was not expecting. So, much appreciated for that. It's a great question to elicit.
Can I ask a question?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay, I'm sorry to take your thunder. So, like Paul was saying earlier, and you've mentioned like these great stables of actors that you've worked with, and how they would tap into that community. was it always, because what I love to do about, the best thing to me about animation is when you're in a room with everybody.
Right.
And you're doing a radio play, basically, right? And it's like old-timey. Nowadays, because of scheduling and whatever, it's like, oh, we got Khary in Connecticut this week. We just got to pick him up for an hour somewhere. And you record these things in a vacuum, so it's just you and you're acting with the director. And so my question was to you, Paul, did you ever have to, did you do a lot of solo acting, or was it always with?
In those days, it was ensemble.
It was.
Someone mentioned earlier, forgive me for not being young enough to remember everybody's exact words, but the antics of these grown-up people in the studio was almost, you know, you expected the guys in the white jackets to come in at any time, because we'd be rolling up the floor, yelling, waving our hands.
We wonder how we get anything done.
Exactly.
Because everybody's got 75 different voices, and so everybody's doing different versions of everything. Sometimes I think that they don't let us record together because we're cutting up so much.
Right.
We're just joking so much.
Don't let the animals in the same cage.
Exactly.
It's a shame now, Joy, because I miss working with the other actors.
Yeah.
When Warner Brothers announced a reboot for ThunderCats in 2011, they flew me out there. I was playing Lionel's father, and it was a prequel, so I was going to die in three episodes. I knew that, but I was so excited to be flying out to Burbank to the ranch, and I couldn't wait to meet the other actors.
Yeah.
I get there in the huge studio with a semicircle of microphones, the way we always worked on the original ThunderCats. And so I kept chatting with the engineer because there was nobody in there.
Right.
The other actors. Finally, the director said, I think we better get started. And I said, whether or not, and she said, no, they're not working today. We're just doing it all alone in the studio. Which is, you know, I can do it.
Where's the glamour?
Where's the fun?
It's nice. I know.
You know, I think we work better together. Feeding off the other.
May I ask one question? It probably happens in the U.S. as much as anywhere else, but maybe they stopped doing an ensemble because we broke each other up and possibly cost a little bit of time. Although most of us, pros are well disciplined, but isn't it fun to be thrown by somebody else and made to laugh and ruin a scene because it was too mirthful? God, I love that.
Well, these days, Paul, you know, people can hear back in the early days, and I'm not talking about just when you guys were doing it, but up until the internet came along.
Right.
The only people who would hear outtakes
Right.
were the engineers.
Right.
Yeah.
And those people in the studio and in the control room. As a matter of fact, we used to joke about whenever somebody would, you know, break up and we'd have to stop. We used to joke that will be on the Christmas tree. In other words, the engineers, I know every recording engineer in the world, if he's having a Christmas party, he would say, you guys want to hear what goes on in the studio when they're doing the thing. But now, I remember the day my son first said, Dad, have you heard the outtakes from ThunderCats? And I said, what are you talking about? He played it for me. I said, oh, Jesus. No.
Yeah. No, we get, Greg and I would get so many ideas for the show messing around. There's an episode where Cyborg puts on the Green Lantern uniform and manifests the Golden Girls. And that came about because one day we just broke out and started singing the theme to Golden Girls. Like in the middle of the show, we just,
How do you even know the theme? Why do you know that?
Are you kidding me? It's one of the greatest TV shows ever. Everybody wants to travel down the road and back again. Your heart is true. You're a pal and a confidant. Let me hear it.
And if you threw a party,
Invited everyone you knew, you wouldn't see the biggest gift would be from me. There's a lot of dads would say thank you for being a friend. You said the whole thing. And everybody ended up being like, okay, so we gotta put that in the show. And next thing you know, I'm beating up Darkseid with the stale Kenney.
I noticed you were the only guy singing that.
Yeah, but what I love is that the ones singing it weren't even alive when the Golden Girls first came out. That's right, but you can't stop B. Arthur.
True words were never spoken. True words.
Exactly.
Anybody have another question?
Louis Ferrer from the Angry Geeks. I got a question for Greg and Khary. Are you guys privy to all the inside jokes? Like the two old guys fighting over their mom's last name? When you guys read those, are you cracking up?
Dude, we stopped writing this show for kids like 4 years ago.
I know. Dude, the movie was awesome. I loved the movie. My kid and I were like the only two adult father and son in the whole theater. We're cracking up, and we got all these other people looking at it because we're laughing at the inside jokes. It was just awesome.
We literally, it depends on what the writers happen to be doing that week, what we're writing about. We wrote there was an entire episode about buying a mortgage because somebody was about to buy a house. So then I had the kids come up, and then the adults come up, they were like, "Dude, thanks for that episode. I had no idea how to buy a house before you guys started." Thank you for helping me understand escrow. We really appreciate that. And then we hit somebody with a frying pan, keep the kids laughing. But, it's, we had one of my favorites is pyramid scheme money. Is teaching kids how to get involved.
Pyramid scheme money, making the money, the pyramid mama money. Teaching people about pyramid schemes. Actually, there was an episode called The Gold Standard where we taught people, I didn't know about the gold standard before that episode. And I also got to punch President Nixon in the face, which I enjoyed.
But there's so many things teaching somebody what a VCR is. My kids are sitting there wondering what we're talking about. We meticulously explain what the VCR was and how it changed America for 20 years.
I just sit there and laugh. And like I said, the movie was just hilarious. I'm sitting in the theater, we're cracking up, and there was a grandfather or the grandson, and the grandfather's like, "How are you guys laughing at?" They didn't get the jokes.
Right.
We're laughing. You guys knocked it out of the park.
It's really a show for all ages. It's my dad's favorite show, and it's cool. Right now, our 200th episode is actually up for an Emmy, and I don't know if you've seen it, but it's a really tricky episode where they basically meet ourselves, our characters meet the voice actors, and
we meet the writers and the producers, and it's a hilarious episode, but it also explains just how hard these writers and producers and animators work to make the stories that we do. And just a little shout out to them, because not only did they make an Emmy-nominated episode and a 50-episode season of TV, they also produced one of the best reviewed movies of the year, and Teen Titans Go, and they did that simultaneously. They're some of the most talented and hardest working people.
And craziest.
And absolutely nuts. And we are incredibly lucky to be working.
One other thing, I'll give it to other people. The cutscene. Anything?
I'm not telling you a thing.
Damn! That was like awesome.
Yeah.
what cutscene?
Come on,
I hear what you're talking
I think we're all the way over to the left here.
So,
Yeah.
two very quick questions. One, what was your favorite episode of Teen Titans Go?
Dude, there are 200 episodes of Teen Titans Go. Number 3 and number 84 were amazing.
What about Waffles?
Waffles!
So me and Khary helped write that song.
Yeah, we spent an entire episode saying nothing but waffles.
Waffles.
Waffles. And what's weird is how many adults come to me just talking waffles to me. Like the kids crack up when we talking waffleese, but the grown parents that come up talking and want to just have a conversation in waffles is baffling. There's a huge contingent.
And we're also responsible for hundreds of kids spending time in detention.
Yes, that's true. That's true. But
Teachers
hopefully
like, sit down, they're like, waffles! Teachers like, do your homework. Waffles, like, you're going to detention.
we apologize, but not really.
Sometimes favorite episodes are always the tricky ones. Schlatter gets all the time favorite episodes of Star Trek. I don't even know if he's ever seen an episode of Star Trek.
Right.
Those are always tricky ones. Let's close out because we only have a few minutes left here, but we'll close out. We'll start with Charlie and work our way back down again. Instead of favorite episodes or something, how about favorite part about being part of the voiceover culture, the history of voiceover animation? What's been your favorite part about being part of this man, right here, half-century legacy that's going on. We'll start with Charlie.
Well, God, listen, I'm lucky. I'm very fortunate. I've gotten to work with some really big legends, starting from George Burns to Dick Van Dyke, to just people who've been around forever and walked the walk and whatever. But I will say, voiceover actors, it's a different breed, and like I said, it's very brave. And I work with people who just take crazy chances every day without a net. It's a community I'm very proud to be a part of, and that I try to be better at all the time. What was I going to say about those guys? I don't know. Jeez, I'm having a senior moment. We were out very late last night. And listen, but I am. It's just, it's a very loving community and a very supportive community. So I'm proud to be a part of it. The other thing I wanted to say was that, because we do record so many times in a vacuum, and we record by ourselves, coming to a convention, for me at least, is really great to see like the effect of your work on people. And when kids come up to you and they say, "Oh, biscuits," and whatever, and they want to hear you do your stuff, it's really, it's very heartwarming to see that, God, you're not just recording a funny voice in a glass booth and getting a nice paycheck, but you're actually affecting people's lives the way Paul touched so many of our lives growing up, and now we get to see, to kind of pass that on. So I thank everybody who's ever come to me and said sweet things about what I've done, and it's a pleasure doing it, and it's a pleasure receiving that gratitude as well.
Paul, your favorite part about being, you started a lot of this.
Tonight?
Favorite part of this panel,
Yeah, today.
Favorite part of this hour.
This is very nice, this whole thing. Two quick things. There was a day, I think I'm the eldest here probably, when in a studio, announcers with the billboards, the title, the introducers of people, came to work in a studio where there was an audience, and they dressed in a tuxedo, black tie, for that event. So there was a kind of legitimacy and importance to doing that. And I can't remember the other.
Just your favorite part about being part of the legacy of voiceover animation?
I think the most surprising thing that's happened to me is meeting the fans and realizing the impact you can have on someone. I remember the first time I did a convention with Greg and the rest of the Titans, and you're having fun. You're doing silly voice. You're making people laugh. You're making people think a little bit, but you don't realize what a big deal it can be sometimes. I'll never forget the first time I was signed. We were in New Orleans, and a kid walked up and he put his prosthetic leg on the table, and he was like, man, when I lost my leg and they gave me this thing, it was the best day of my life. He was like, I was a cyborg. It kills me to this day that all the laughter, all the whatever. I did something for that kid, you know what I mean? And I love that millions of people watch it, but I knew that I came to New Orleans for that kid, you know?
You got me tearing up now, seriously.
I told myself I wouldn't cry.
Yeah, that's so true. My dear wife loves so much to watch people come up of all different ages and say how excited they are, to meet me, and which took me a long time to get used to. I didn't feel I deserved anything. All I did was read words, and for the longest time, we didn't have contact with the audience. Nobody knew who we were. But there were credits rolling too fast. But until the internet came along, and now everybody can see. He does that voice. He does it. It's almost become there's a whole category of fans of us, which is incredible. And when people come up and say things. ThunderCats was a show, I know we all think our shows were special, but it was a little different in that it came at a time, Rankin Bass, yes, it was Rankin Bass. Oh, that's another story.
Is it ever?
Yeah. But they created this show because at that time, in the mid-'80s, there was a kind of an uproar in the country about children's programming. And rightly so. There was too much violence. It was all sell to the kids and suck them in with, you know, cartoons and get them to buy the cereals. And so ThunderCats was written with that in mind, and it had a moral code. Please help me remember correctly. Truth, justice, loyalty, friendship, is that it? ThunderCats. And I didn't know until years later that people actually took that to heart. Kids took that to heart. I've gotten so much email from people who are now 40 who said, when I didn't have a very good childhood, and I knew what they were talking about. Some of them told me in more detail, you know, about how bad their childhood. They said when I went in my room for a half hour watching ThunderCats, I forgot about that. And then there's those who say, you know, that I had doctors who told me, not that they're better than anybody else, but they said that show gave me a moral compass that I didn't get from my surroundings. And that means so much to them, so it means so much to me. And I'm so protective of the legacy of ThunderCats because of that. I turned down things that they wanted me to have a lion or something. I said, no, that's not going to happen. So I feel the same way.
Rafael?
Voiceovers are just a family and a community of men and women, and just the shoulders that you can climb upon to become what you need to be as a voiceover actor. Guys like Don LaFontaine, guys like Stan Freberg, Mel Blanc certainly, and guys that we looked up to and that gave us help, and that we give help to younger voiceover people coming up so that they can achieve, hopefully, what we have achieved. And that, in the voiceover community, is something that's invaluable. And you know, and that's what I take away from being part of the voiceover community.
Greg, you get to close it out for us. You get the final word today, my friend. This might be dangerous.
No, that was it. That's what. No, life is yummy. I really feel that my favorite part and the thing I'm most grateful for, as far as being a part of this community, is the ability to make a difference with our cartoons. You know, making people laugh is such a healing experience. I want the world to be laughing all at once. So I think our cartoons are making that happen, you know, little by little. And also, you know, putting beautiful messages within the shows, like, you know, the moral compass code that your show had. And in episodes like Teen Titans Go, which sometimes have that. But also just being inspired to create more things that will make a bigger difference in the world, and having that opportunity, that's what I'm most grateful for. And being able to travel around and actually meet the other side of it all. Like, you guys are completionists. Without you all, without the fans, it really wouldn't be happening at all. So it's all connected, it's all one. So I'm grateful for you all. Thank you for being here and listening. Thank you, God loves you.
Thank you.
I've been over this for years ago, I lost it on a city line in Utah, and then I found it on the hilarious. That's why I don't do it.